Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the second edition of Live Market Analysis for this week. You can see a little bit different on screen there. It says Tuesday instead of the usual Monday. If you are here, you know, and you were here last night, you know what happened. If you're not, you got the email, you know what happened. Let's get cracking. The disclaimer is important. Should discuss it first. It means, or just means that everything we're going to discuss tonight is general in nature. It has not taken into account your personal financial circumstances, objectives, or particular needs. So before acting upon this very general information, you should consider it carefully or seek the help of a financial professional to help you understand whether that information is appropriate to you. Also remember that markets go up, markets go down. They went down a lot today. Unfortunately, it could cause you to lose money. It's always you who's responsible for the stuff you do in the markets and not me. My role here is just to help you make better decisions. That's all I can do. And in aid of that tonight, what we're going to do is you're going to ask the questions and I'm going to give you the answers as best I can. Anything about stocks, bonds, commodities, crypto, indices, you name it, you can ask it. Or anything about trading the 3Ms, money management, methodology and mindset. As I continue to admit people, you probably can't see that, but we might have some slightly different technicalities about tonight's webinar. Let's head over to the portfolio management model. And the other key reason, this is the thing that would have kept me awake at night, is if I couldn't have the recording with the portfolio management model, because for me, this is the most important thing that we discuss every Monday evening, is really setting you up for the week and how you should be thinking about your risk. Now, it's even more fascinating because we looked at this yesterday and we didn't have this last candle here. And let's just zoom in a little bit, because that last candle there is actually really good. So if we look at the date, you can see 21st of October 2024. That was a Monday. And it looks like a really decent candle. It's a demand side candle. We know it's got a white body. It's got a downward pointing shadow. It means that, you know, the market tried to sell off early in the session and the demand just came back in and soaked up all of that supply, and it closed with a really nice candle, really closing at its highest level. I'm going to say it's closing at its highest level since the all-time highs were set all the way back in July, before that mini crash of the carry trade unwind. So a really significant close on the Nasdaq last night. And yet, when we go here to the Russell 2000, which is the sometimes part of our US portfolio management strategy, we can see it was a very, very different evening. So I'm going to say there's a big disconnect between the big end of town and everything else, wherever that is in town in the US market. And that's a bit concerning, because as much as we discussed yesterday how the Nasdaq is this sort of poster child of risk on, it's the most sensitive to interest rates. Interest rates are also, by extension, the most important thing we need to understand when we talk about macro. That's why we look at the Nasdaq, but then it's also important to keep one eye on the Russell as well. So that will explain, if you're uncertain as to why the Australian market had such a tough day today, well, it had very little to do with that. It had very little to do with the S&P 500, where really not a lot happened, and it had a lot to do with everything else in the USA having actually quite a bad night. I think we overshot today. I feel that today's response was more significant. What's the right word? It was harsher than what was experienced in the US. But anyway, there's no point complaining about it. It is what it is. What does that mean for our portfolio management model? Well, I don't think there's enough, ironically, to change anything just at this stage, given that that's still amazing. Whilst that's not ideal, it's still amazing. Double greens, the trend ribbons are still offering dynamic demand. We're largely still good price action, and apart from that candle, you know, it's one candle. It's not panic stations yet. So, ironically, as I say, we get to this endpoint where we're actually still full risk position, but that is something we do need to keep an eye on, and we will continue to do that. Heading back to Australia now, the other half. So I said last night that, let's say you've got $10,000 that you're trading with, and you happen to have, just giving you hypothetical numbers here, $7,000 invested in the US and $3,000 invested in Australia. Well, the US portfolio management model manages the 7,000. Yes, it's FRP, and the Australian portfolio management model manages the 3,000. I'm going to say it's still FRP, but I think you might want to be cautious about adding risk at this stage. You're invested, but whether you need to add extra risk, I think, is questionable. Yes? Am I going to bed? Sorry. I don't. Maybe that wasn't directed at me. Okay, so I think we just need to be a little bit cautious about adding risk at this stage. Just hold your horses and stick with what you've got. Let's see if there's anything that's going to push us off. Push us towards more risk, I think, because really we are talking about paring back a little bit. If anything, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad in Europe at all. But we know how these things can start. In Asia today, actually, I talked about the overshoot in Australia, and look at the Hang Seng. It was really very little in movement influence. That the Nikkei did come down a little bit. India was fine, and we're pretty good there in Shanghai, and both actually Chinese indices. Looking where the damage was done today, was it discretionary? Yes, discretionary was hit hard. Energy not as bad, but still that is one of the worst looking sectors. The financials bore much of the brunt of it today. Gold hanging in there. What an incredible looking chart that is. And actually, when I did my scans tonight, which are live, by the way, the watch lists are live for you, there were still plenty of gold stocks coming up there. Healthcare got hit by Medicus because Medicus is one of those long duration, high PE companies. So it's the most obvious one to get hit when these things happen. We'll talk about what actually happened in a second. Technology, I was actually very surprised by the strength there, to be fair. Resources, naturally sort of weak on a day like today. Property, you would expect to get hit when rates are heading up. Staples was actually neither here nor there. That is a little bit more like what I would expect from a high PE, long duration sector. Utilities as a bond proxy also getting hit. What happened today, I'm just going to quickly whip over here because it's all a bit of a mystery until we talk about not silver, but actually talk about the bond market. And I've shown you two of the three key pieces of the puzzle, one of them being the Russell. The second one, of course, is the continuing rise. It was actually more up higher than that when I took the snapshot earlier on today for the evening wrap. The continuing rise of Japanese 2-year yields. And again, this is this sort of positioning ahead of the Big Bank of Japan meeting. Starts on the 30th and we'll probably get the interest rate decision by the 31st. Don't forget, just a couple of months ago, 2 meetings ago, that announcement, I wanted to use the word crash. It did. It was a mini crash, or certainly correction that ensued from that. So this is a big risk event. We need to be aware of it. And this is the real reason why the Aussie market got belted today, is because as black as our candle was on the ASX 200 is the exact opposite as white as this candle is here on the Aussie 2-year yields. And if you do look at the RBA interest rate indicator here, so you can always get the tracker address there in the recording. But if we look at the 30-day interbank cash rate futures implied yield curve, which is in many ways predicting where the RBA's cash rate is going to be into the future, November is the next meeting, not far away now, 4.32%, which suggests no change, but the ever slightest chance of a cut. There will be no cut there. And then for 435, take off 25 gets you to 410. So we're hovering over and we're saying, well, okay, well, the first cut is April. It wasn't that long ago, literally 2 weeks ago, that was February. So that's been pushed out to April. And then we go to 385 is the next one. Well, that's in August. That was April, now pushed out to August. And then we need to go below 360. This is how this works, to get to the third cut, which would be in December. And that was much, much earlier. In fact, it wasn't that long ago I wrote an article saying that the market was predicting 4 cuts within 12 months. That is now 3 cuts within 18 months. So just giving you an idea of some of these things sort of bubbling under the surface of this chart effectively today, this chart today, okay, kind of explaining what happened today, if today surprised you. Let us go back to here because we're going to finish off our whip around the grounds, because we did see that silver chart, and it is very interesting, and I do want to talk about it because many of you obviously probably trading some of those silver stocks, or you might have bought, we talked about last night, a few people that actually bought the silver ETF, the ETP MAG, and a good candle. A bit of an indeterminate candle last night, wasn't it, with that upward pointing shadow, but good to see the bulls come back in today and push that up. And that is still a live candle, so we should largely discount it, but we're probably about better part of halfway through it now. But if we can close there, anywhere near its high, it's looking very, very good. Last night I talked about going to the longer term charts. I know you're going to see some of these markings here, but you can see even then, look, I can actually do something about that. It would take a while to do something about it, but I can get rid of some of this stuff. There should be a hide all option here, and it would be quicker to go back to AMI Broker, but in many ways it would be slower too. So let's try that. And now it's revealing itself. That's even more exciting when we do it this way, surely. There you go, it's revealing itself. The nature of this wonderful weekly candle that's developing, and if it can close out like that, it's going to look extraordinarily good. We're at 12-year highs. You can see where the dash line goes back over here to, it's actually 2012, where you've got the last time it's closed higher than that. It's all the way back here. And there's really nothing doing until probably 41. Then there's another level around 44. Then there's another level around 50. And then we head upwards from there on the futures chart. It's going to look a little bit different on your spot charts, okay, because they don't have the back adjusting going. But that is the opportunity, I think, which silver presents itself. Don't ever get too excited about things. You can have a big imagination because we want to hold things for as long as they're going up. But don't assume it. Don't expect it. You will get what you get from the market. Okay, it's really foolish to think it's going to it has to happen. Nothing has to happen. The chart looks good. That's it. Just do your job. Your job is to get into good opportunities and manage your risk along the way. Gold still looks very good. No complaints about that one. I do have some complaints about copper. It actually was starting to look pretty good last night, because this was a white candle. It ended up closing with an upper shadow, so that's not ideal. It's ho-hum at best, and I did mention that yesterday. Iron ore, I said, is starting to look quite weak, and disturbingly weak given how good it's supposed to be around this time of the year. I'm not going to write it off yet, but I'm not seeing any demand side control at this stage. Uranium is neither here nor there. I mentioned it in tonight's evening wrap. I did a write-up on it. I said, look, it's really just being compressed within the short-term and long-term trend ribbons. It's very flat. If we do see it break beneath, and it was one of these levels here, maybe it was 79 something, then it would be bearish. And if it can close itself above the long-term trend ribbon, then it's starting to look bullish again. Natural gas continues to decline in line with that long-term trend, although having said that, it has bounced from here in the past. Crude oil is very much stuck in a range, looking at West Texas there, and also Brent similarly stuck in a range. And then we go to the coals, thermal coal there. Is trying to break into a new long-term uptrend, but largely static over the last couple of weeks. And we have seen a pullback in coking coal in line with the iron ore price. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel that is the whip around the grounds. So let us head back to the AMI Broker screen. Roscoe, I need to admit. So Roscoe, sorry, there's been if somebody was not admitted, I do apologise, but this setup is different tonight because it's a one-off, and it's requiring me to admit everybody individually. And if I'm talking and you were late, okay, well, you were late and I was talking, so I'm very sorry, but I have to admit everybody one by one, and I've only just seen that message come through. Sorry, Ross. Okay, let's get into these offline requests, and we're going to kick off first and foremost, not with Audinate Group, it just happens to be the last one I looked at when I did my downtrend scans. So somebody asked me about it, was it last night or a couple of nights ago, or maybe a week ago, and I did say, look, no interest, because it's not doing the right things. It's got so far to go before it can be a turnaround play. It doesn't have the long base where you're washing out all that supply for it to be that aggressive trade. And I just think you can get these right. Don't get me wrong, they can end up turning around, but I just think more often than not they tend to disappoint or continue to disappoint. We certainly saw that there. I do digress though, because the first offline request is from Mick, and it's WC8. An interesting one because it did come up as coincidentally a turnaround play. And these things, it's quite funny actually for me, knowing that for such a long time, these stocks were very much in my downtrends list, and just wouldn't touch them with a barge pole. And then they start to show demand coming in. We move back into higher peaks and higher troughs. We move back into a predominance of white candles. We start to see the short-term trend ribbon turn around and then act as dynamic demand. I'm trying to figure out as I'm talking where the next level is, and it's worth drawing that in there. So we see the price action turn up, and we see that the trend ribbon turns and starts acting as dynamic demand. We interact with the long-term uptrend ribbon. We do it really well, actually, big white candle. We pull back, we hold, we dink, and I put it in on this night here in the uptrends list because I'm compelled to. I've got no choice. As much as, I don't know anything about this one, honestly, I don't. But as much as I'm not a fan of lithium, as you all know, it doesn't matter to me. It's just a chart, and therefore I put it on that day. Now I can't tell what's going to happen next, and I couldn't tell that was probably the day that the futures just absolutely crapped out, and this one got hit, and then obviously futures have been trending lower since then. We've got a little bit of a bounce today. It's not far away from the short-term uptrend ribbon, but unfortunately it is a little bit lower than I'd like with respect to the long-term trend ribbon. Ideally, it's done its dink a bit above that. It's also come down. That last trough is, it's beneath the previous trough, and it's well beneath the second from last peak, which is that one there. And I've got a few arrows. So we've got some problems here. This candle here in itself is pretty disturbing, and I'll be honest with you. I don't have this one, but I'll be honest with you. If I saw that candle on the day that I got in, I'd probably just get out, to be honest, the next day and just say, well, that didn't work out. And I know that turnaround setups carry with them significantly greater risk. I know that, and I would take my medicine. If that wasn't you, if you're still in this, today's candle is encouraging. I don't think you have to wait very long to find out whether you need to stay in it or not. I think there's a level down here. Certainly, if you're close beneath that trough, you've got some issues. You might want to give it, or you might want to split it. You might want to do half on a close beneath that trough and half on a close beneath the short-term uptrend ribbon. But beyond that, I really do think you are now starting to push the realms of sensibility, because it could just be a case of something like this, that this one is not ready yet. It's not ready yet. That's the nature of a turnaround play. It's not ready yet, and we end up with something like this. And I don't think you want to hold on just in hope on the basis that that's not going to happen. So Mick, I'm a little bit concerned about that one, but given today's candle, today's trough, it is above the short-term uptrend ribbon. You've got a reason potentially to stick with it a little bit longer. And you correctly identify, Mick, in your email that, yes, it is a turnaround play. I agree. SXG. This one also 1/3 after last two candles. Also 1/3 after last two candles. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe he got out 1/3 after these two candles, which I actually don't mind. Don't forget, Mick, that look at where this topped out. So that actually got really close to the $4 mark. And we say, look, if you get within a few percent of that, so anything above the 90 in this sort of situation is usually pretty good, right? Anything probing into the 90s, I think you're close enough. Our goal is to sell some at the round number, but where do you sell it? Do you sell it at $3.99? Do you sell it at $4 exactly? What I would suggest to you selling at $4 exactly is a bit foolish, because that's where everybody else is going to sell. So we know we need to come in beneath that, right? We can't be at 4. I'm thinking less than $3.95, and if you want to really push it and extract the most out of it, more than $3.90. Okay, and we're just using numbers that kind of make sense in terms of people's, they want to sell above $3.95 and 4, so we're going to get out 5 cents beneath that. Okay, around about 1%, if you want to use percentage terms. So that high there, if we check it out, was, and it's easy to forget these round numbers, isn't it? We're all focusing on our price action, our candles, and we just forget that they're hovering and lurking. That one was $3.92. So if you had a sell order somewhere at $3.90, even $3.89, they're all very sensible places to put a sell order for a third. And you're doing no more than a third, but you are, I'm compelled to do it. I nearly said you're compelled to do it. You're not compelled to do anything. It's your money. You should always do what you think is best with your money. But I'm compelled in these circumstances to just dust a third, and it's never more than a third. because we are effectively selling into what is the most amazing freaking trend. We are selling into, don't forget that candle. This candle here was at one stage, a big white candle. It was amazing. Look, it was fantastic. It was a wall of demand. Okay, but what did that demand meet? It met an equal and greater wall of supply. And ladies and gentlemen, why was the supply there? It's because, it's $4. I better sell it. Where did I buy it? Oh, I bought it around $2. See, I bought it there. Wasn't I clever? And I've doubled my money, so I better sell. Okay, well, that's okay. We're not going to begrudge the people that mentality, because we're going to get out ahead of them. So that, I think, is the third. And then when you get that candle, whether you do another third or not, I really don't mind. Honestly, if you said to Carl, I've done my third, I just want to see how it goes now, I think that's brilliant. I think that's a great idea. If you look at that candle and go, geez, I don't like that candle, and I do another third, I don't think that's a terrible idea either, but I think you may be just being a bit pedantic. Today's candle is a different story. Is this a sell another third candle? And look, all I'm giving you here is discretion. I can't give you a hard and fast rule. Oh, it has to be X number of, pips long, or, the shadow shouldn't be more than this. It's just common sense. I don't think so. For me, I think that lower shadow off the light green ribbon there, it's still holding. We've done a third. Do I think we need to do the other third? This candle is pretty nasty. Look, again, I'm going to say, look, if you did the third and now you're out 2/3 and you're just holding a third, I'm okay with that. You've got a reason, you've got a rationale, and it's not based upon, how do I feel like behaving today in the market? It's based upon evidence of what you can actually see and what you understand about supply and demand. So it's up to you. I think just give it another day, and then tomorrow's candle will help you decide. And certainly beneath the short-term trend ribbon, then I think you're starting to do the third. There's a little bit of sort of demand looking in here. Just look, next low close, isn't it? Next low close. And the way you might want to tackle this is next low close, maybe instead of doing a third on that one, because of everything else, maybe that's the 2/3. But it's today or not today with the third, I think is very much up to you, the way you feel about it. Hopefully you made some money on that, Mick. I think that's what you're telling me from your message anyway. Let's go to Barry. Barry's got SIG. I'm glad we're talking about it now, and I like to, because I know this is something many of you probably had. It was in my my feature list so many times, and beautiful candles. So I like to talk about these things to take some profits on them. That's good too. I was going to say not the first time it's been here, but it's been a long time between drinks at $2 for Sigma, if you get what I mean. 2005, 2006. I was in Melbourne working at Australian Stock, probably covering it at that time. Now let's go to this price action here. So obviously, many of you already have your eye in. We don't like that, do we? That's not what we like. And I wonder how many of you are now going to this candle here and saying, I like that even less. And when I see these two types of candles together, I get very nervous. I think for me, as soon as I see that, I know that that the instant we close beneath that level there, I think this trade is done. I think we're all out of that. Whether you did a third on that day or not, I don't think it really matters. If you did, I wouldn't complain. Like I said before, I can see why you did it. If you did a third on that day or instead, again, I'm not complaining. If you haven't done anything and you just, because you're giving it a chance, and that's what we should do, then I'm cool with that as well. But for all of those scenarios, I think we've got a really obvious point here. And today's candle really reinforces for me that up here is supply. There's supply up here, and it's a good whack of supply. It's more supply certainly than we've seen any point in the recent past. So we should take note of that. I don't think I want to have a full risk position on this. I think I'm already out at least a third. So right now, my RP equals plus 2/3 at most. And I think I'm going to certainly minus a third here, but maybe even more than that. That's how I feel about that one. But again, it's just about making sensible decisions based upon the information that we have. And Barry asking for my insights about the Chemist Warehouse story, and I guess how that's all going. I wouldn't have a clue, Barry. No idea. Nor do I care. All I care about is those candlesticks on the screen. So go and ask a fundamental analyst about that. There's this really great show called The Call on Ausbiz. And there you go. We'll have, Barry's asking about Sigma. There you go. And somebody very smart on Ausbiz, The Call, will give you their answer on the fundamentals. Let's go to Isabel. Isabel's got SNG. Oh, what a wonderful looking chart it was. This, I think I put this in a couple of days ago, didn't I? Right here. Because it's the perfect setup. In fact, right here is the perfect setup, and right here is the perfect setup. So this is something that we must tune our eye into. Like, look, this is Carl. This is me in a nutshell. This is how I trade. This is just like dog poop, dog poop, dog poop, dog poop, dog poop, dog poop. Look, I guess probably starting to look quite warm here. Not that I saw it back then. Actually, probably starting to look good there, to be honest. But that's when I'm starting to look at it. Like, not through all of this. This is called the dog poop phase. But now you're starting to talk my language here and here. It didn't work at that time. But certainly, this is interesting me now. Okay. And how do you know? How would you know? If you didn't have a system, if you didn't have some indicators that really do their own thing, I don't tell the indicators where to go. They are just there. But what they do is they allow me to be objective and not subjective. And then we have also, look at the great volume push through here and the beautiful candles. So tune your brain in, and let me delete all of these and just show it to you again. But when you see this, right, that, and look at this base pattern. This is why I love these long base patterns. We work out, we get rid of all that dead wood. Or you see that, or you see that. For me, it means, dare I say, buy. Okay. What to do now? Big upper shadow into 15. Is 15 a round number? No, I don't think so. I don't think anybody's holding and hoping out for 15. But it is an upper shadow. It does tell me that there is some supply there. It looks like a little bit blow off, doesn't it, with that shadow and that volume. But I don't think it's a reason to sell a third, Isabel. But I'm guessing you're probably nervous. You're probably making a bit of money. But I still don't think it's a reason to sell a third at this stage. You know what to look for, Isabel. Black candles. Another upper shadow that confirms that. I think this is probably still a ways away from doing those things. So I'm going to go FRP. Obviously, I'm not adding a third at this stage because this last candle doesn't warrant it. Okay, but I still think that's a really, really nice looking setup. Let's go zoom normal. Now we're going to go to... Oh, look, Isabel, I've got some colour. Sorry, I should read the whole thing. Isabel saying she caved in and sold at 13.5. Well, well done to you. Not sure where it will close at. She must have sent me that during market trade today. There's nothing wrong with... no, I shouldn't say that. I was going to say there's nothing wrong with taking a bit of profit. I can't say that because I don't believe it. Look, how do you know that, Isabel? Like 13.5, why? Unless you told me, Carl, like if you had something you could pin your hat on and say, look, this is actually what worried me, and I'm only just looking at that now, and I think actually, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I wonder if that's you, Isabel, or now I'm giving you an excuse. She's going to be watching this in the recording tomorrow and going, actually, now that you mention it, Carl, that's exactly why I sold at 13.5. You know what? That for me, that would be a reason to do what you did, is to sell a third. But the great thing about Isabel, she's literally sold a third. She says, only sold a third. So that's good too. Okay. Let's go to Sanjeev has got Wisetech, which I do want to talk about. We did talk about it last night. And we mentioned that there were plenty of clues here that we shouldn't have been a full risk position on Wisetech before the decline. And we did move into lower peaks and lower troughs. We did see a close beneath that trough. And really, I think on this day here, we're selling, I don't think it's a 1/3 sale on that day. I think it's 2/3 given everything that's happened. We've got two lower peaks. We're then closing beneath 2 troughs. So it's a bit more serious. And in fact, there's some other troughs here that we're closing beneath. So I would put to you that on that day there, it's at least minus 2/3, at least minus 2/3. But if you did the whole lot, I wouldn't complain. And then this day here, even if you didn't do the third on that day, then on the prior day, then that is a third. And really for this day here, you are ZRP. Okay, and that is a big tick, I think, for my model. What do we do now? Do we jump back in because it's looking cheap, because it's great value, because this can only be temporary, of course, and it's a quality stock and it'll go back up? None of those things matter to me, as you know. Do we do it because it's holding the long-term uptrend ribbon? And lo and behold, guess where it stopped? Like, look at that. Straight in my ribbon. Like, would you expect anything else? And then today, it's actually trying to bounce out of the ribbon. Huge volume on these 2 days. If this candle was, if this candle had a higher close, like this was a full white candle, I could really see this actually, that being the end of that downburst and probably having a decent rally, maybe even to close that gap. But that shadow just worries me a little bit. For me, no, I don't think I want to be bargain hunting that. Having said that, I do think there's a good chance that the falls have finished for now, given the price action and the volume. But it's not my gig. This is not what I'm interested in. I'm not looking to buy that. That's not how I play the game. In terms of mineral resources, this is nothing but a short. It certainly didn't get itself back into long territory here as a turnaround play. If anything, it was just on the knocker, just as Wisetech's long-term uptrend, just bang, smack bang, it supported the price action. Look at mineral resources, absolute perfection in telling you where the supply was going to come back in a dynamic sense. And that candle really, I think, went a long way to sealing the deal. This one, not so much, obviously trying to now bounce off the short-term uptrend ribbon, but this here is all over. It's lights out Irene from there, and that one just confirms it, and it's no surprise to me we got that and we got that. So if you're long this, you are doing the opposite of my strategy. I can't imagine why that would be the case. Would I be looking to buy this? Hell no. And would I be looking to sell it? Well, I did put it in. I did run it in my downtrends lists. I've done it a couple of times over the last few nights. Sanjeev might be saying, but isn't it a quality lithium stock? And it's got iron ore, and it's got mining services as well. I say, Sanjeev, that's fine. Go and ask a fundamental analyst about those things. I'm sure they will be happy to tell you about it. Let's talk about Chalice Mining, because this is something I am interested in at this point in time, because it's doing all of those things that a turnaround play should do. And, just highlighting again just how solid that downtrend ribbon is, and why do you want to muck around with it? We don't want to muck around with a stock that has had such a tough time until it can tackle, it can do the work in that ribbon. Look at this. The short-term trend has turned. Lo and behold, a basing pattern. Am I sounding monotonous here? Am I sounding like a broken record? I hope I am, because largely that's my goal in these sessions, to just beat you around the head with some of these concepts until some of them hopefully sink in. Do we have volume events through here helping us wash out all of that dead wood? Think about how much dead wood is in this, because let's face it, this was the next big thing. This was the thing that went from zero to hero, and everybody was talking about it, and it was the best performing stock on the ASX for a couple of years running, okay? And then it was a pile of junk. What was the technical term for it? I think the technical term was through here: dog poop, dog poop, dog poop, dog poop, dog poop, dog poop. Not dog poop anymore. What's the opposite of dog poop? I don't know, but that's Chalice Mining. This candle is very impressive, and today, even on a bad day, actually I still think that's a very good candle. You know that I have gone plus 1/3 on it here, but also I think pretty sure we had a plus 1/6 earlier than this, but I got rid of all my markings. Oh, I'm not supposed to be in here. Oh, naughty. Okay, you know where the markings are? They're over here. So if we go here, there you go. So now I've made a mess of all my other market index charts. That is a disaster for me. You have no idea. Anyway, it won't be hard. We haven't done that many. I'll have to go back and delete all the things. But any plus 1/3 is going to disappear for next time. We did that here, FRP plus 1/3. And I don't think today's candle changes anything. This is where the demand is now, down here. This zone is no longer supply, it's now demand. So I'm happy with that one, Craig. Now let's go to Adrian, asking about APE, which is one obviously we did yesterday as well. Very similar. Look at this. We've transitioned it from dog poop, but base phase, but returning to higher peaks and troughs, predominance of white candles, short-term uptrend ribbon offering dynamic demand, big white candles, all the stuff we like, okay? Big volume event. So this is one we have done plus 1/6 recently. And yesterday I said with that candle, because it hasn't officially done the dink sort of, not even in, so not above, but not even in the range. I said yesterday's big white candle, we would do plus 6th only. And today's candle, if anything, it allows me to highlight the fact that these are turnaround plays and they are riskier plays than your bottom left, top rights. And, they're not always going to go the way you want them to go immediately. It might take a little bit longer than some of the other ones. But I've still got confidence in this one. I have no reason to doubt it after today's candle. It's not a great candle, but it's certainly, it's not enough to undo the good work that's been done. And it's really a balancing scale, isn't it? So you can see all the good work. We've talked about what the good work is, and then we've got that candle. Does that candle undo the good work? No, it doesn't, okay? One candle can undo it, but it's not likely. What's more likely to be a candle, a few candles, some price action and other stuff, but I don't think that's there yet. So happy holder on that one. FRP not adding on the last candle for obvious reasons. Stuart had PRU, which is still fine. I wonder, maybe we talked about this yesterday, or maybe this was here, I can't remember. Let me leave it there and let me just go copy and paste for there, because that's the way I would feel about it. Obviously today there's no reason to do anything because of the black candle, but there's nothing so sinister in this chart to suggest that I would do anything but continue to FRP on Perseus, one of those gold stocks that are prospering at the moment. ADT is one of the silver stocks that are prospering at the moment. A little bit of a pullback today, which is a little bit surprising, isn't it, given how well the silver price is doing. But these things don't go up in a straight line because there's hot money in there. Actually, we talked about that last night. I should talk about it tonight. Do you think you're the only person that figured out that the silver chart looks good? Do you think you're the only person that drew the lines together? Like the beautiful mind with all the calculations coming across your eyeballs there. And was that you? Oh, silver's going up. I better buy some silver stocks. No, I don't reckon that was just you, right? So there's a bit of hot money in here. And hot money, when it doesn't get the result at once every day, some of it spills out. And that's what's happening here. Now, our mentality is to say, well, okay, I know things are going to dink from time to time, but we do think the big money is still moving into this one. And therefore, until we see lower peaks or we see a combination of black candles or closing beneath the trough, we're going to stay the course. And I think that's where we are on this one. FRP, even though that last candle isn't ideal, is it? But it's not a deal breaker for me. Stuart. Peter's got SGF, which is SG Fleet Group. It's had a bit of a tough time. And when we talk about that one candle, that species-ending event, is the other name we have for it, is that one there, isn't it? So that's your species-ending event. We should label that as an SEE. And we do not pass go, we do not collect $200. That is a zero risk position for me when we see that, and probably a good thing at that time. And I feel like we talked about this not long afterwards, and we did have that discussion. But now, what do we do with it? So is it time to get back in? Waiting for a dink, says Peter, at about 265 for an entry after a short basing period. It is a very short basing period. I think you're kind of manufacturing this trade a little bit, Peter. That's my opinion. I agree. This is very interesting. I agree. It is pushing into the long-term trend ribbon, and that's why you're requiring the dink. It's really dinking, though, with this candle here and this candle here. A little bit of a couple of lower shadows. Look, it is doing what we expect at these trend ribbons. The only thing that could get me into a position on this, Pete, it would have to be a really, really good candle. So I'm not saying no. I'm just saying because of this, again, it's this balance, right? This balance. So how much supply does this represent, right? And then how much, the question mark will be, question marks first, right? How much good price action do we need sort of now to I guess, balance that out, okay? And I'm not saying we need to get all the way back up. Turnaround setups don't require that. That's their nature, right? If you only did continuation setups, you would wait until it had completely balanced out. You'd be all the way back up here at 320. It's not. That's why we have turnaround setups. So we don't have to wait that long if we can see evidence of the demand coming back in, but they're more aggressive setups, of course, than they're just waiting for it to break through 320 and then it's all blue sky again. But this is the candle I need to see here. So that would be, what do we do? I think we make that black, yeah, and then we make it fill color white, as you can see now. So that's the sort of candle I'm going to need, that emphatic push. Might even be on a bit of volume here to take out the supply that is so clearly in this area here, around about 280. Why is it coming in around about 280? I suspect it's probably some deadwood looking to get out here. Probably, in fact, if you kind of think about it, it's deadwood buying this, thinking, oh, it's too cheap, right? You know that feeling. You've all been there before you met me, where you see something's down 20% on the market and you just have to buy it because you think, oh, she's down 20%, it's got to bounce, right? No, it doesn't have to bounce. Well, this bounced, didn't it? It bounced from there to there, and then it did that, okay? So some of the people who bought this bounce here thinking, geez, I'm very clever, what a bargain I've got, they probably regretted that down here, right? And now they're just starting to spill out, okay? How many are there? We don't know. But what we will know is if we see this big white candle closing above that level on some volumes, we'll know we've taken them out. And then it opens this up. It opens this up, Peter. But until then, I don't think I'm interested. Let's go to MMI, which I am interested in. I think this one looks good. So happy with this one. A little bit Sketchorama. Okay, that's the nature of these small companies from time to time. But, you know, it's ticking over pretty well, I think. And the more recent price action is actually very impressive because what I love, and I have run this a few times, haven't I? I ran it here, I ran it here, and I ran it here. I might have even run it on this day as a feature chart because I love these little gaps. I think, well, there's one gap there, but I love these very solid demand side candles. We did see some volume obviously coming back into it as well. Where did it stop? Well, it stopped at a place where we would expect it to stop. There's no surprises there. In fact, we've actually got some old supply coming into play here as well. And I reckon if we just make that a little bit more accurate, match that off with that peak there, it probably starts to even make more sense as to why we're starting to see a little bit of supply coming in with that upper shadow. And yeah, I think when you look at the market with our eyes now, some of these things just are obvious, aren't they? But it's come back really well from there. So I like this shadow. I like this shadow, and I really love this shadow. And today's candle looks very, very good. And I'm pretty sure if I go here, I didn't put it in my shortlist. It definitely made the big shortlist. I've only got shorts in there now. It's gone. I've overwritten that list. So in fact, I can tell you because if I go here, let me show you. If I go here. And this is a great little demo, isn't it, of the watch list. And I go to the chart watch daily ASX scans uptrends, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to see MMI. Whew, there it is in there. Okay, so it made the main shortlist. If it's in that list, it's plus 1/3 as far as I'm concerned. It didn't make the shortlist, although I'm looking at it now and I'm probably thinking I could have put it in there as well. So I'm pretty happy with that one. Hence, I'm going to graffiti on here, FRP and plus 1/3. No need to wait for a high close, because you've already got it. They are all the offline requests. Let's head to the online requests. Thanks everybody for being so patient. Got all of the tests coming through. Thank you, very generous there with your responses. Haraju, Michael, Peter, Huzul, Francine and Sue. Colin asking, can we look at Yancoal? I would love to look at Yancoal, Colin, because I think it looks very, very good. If you don't mind, we had all these plus 1/3, and I think I was largely vindicated there, although there wasn't much you could do about it, was there? Because it grabbed all the way down. So that was a bit tragic, but I'm going to delete this just to give us a nice clean sheet to work with, okay? There's also, there's no dividend. There's no dividend because that's why it dropped. They said, we're not doing a dividend anymore. Very curious. I think it's coming back really well. It's doing all of those things that the turnaround needs to do. And the one that I was just asked about, SGF, isn't it interesting? Hey, doesn't this, thank you. There it is. You didn't miss anything. We're talking about Yancoal. We talked about this big drop here, which when they said we're not going to do the dividend. And what it sparked for me was this idea that SGF is very similar. Hey, they're completely different companies. You couldn't get more different companies. But isn't the price action, the price action's almost the same. Look, you've got a coal company and you've got a leasing company. yet the price action's the same because supply and demand, different companies works in the same way. So for Peter, who asked about SGF, this is what your SGF needs to do really effectively, isn't it? And that great big white candle I pointed to for SGF, it's that one there. Do you get it? So that's the one you need to see. This looks so much better than SGF because I reckon these candles, this cluster in here, is much better. Okay. Plus, we also saw the long-term trend ribbon turn green. That's important. And we're seeing that short-term trend ribbon nicely support price as well. And then we've got another candle in there, which is really good. And the more of these demand-side candles we can get, the more confidence we're going to have that something good is happening here. And today's candle is very, very good. And I know I shortlisted this one, and I've got a sneaky suspicion I shortlisted it into the shortlist. So unequivocally, plus 1/3 FRP on Yancoal for me. Thank you for suggesting that one. Colin, Francine is saying, what do I think of Westpac? Well, I was thinking it was looking pretty good before today, Francine, but today is a bit disappointing, as was the rest of those. Like that's a disturbing candle right there on Commonwealth Bank. Let's do a tour of the banks. Bit better on ANZ, so far the strongest of them, and disturbing on NAB. Yeah, maybe Westpac's the second best, if that makes sense. CBA and NAB are the two worst ones there. I think you're going to give it the benefit of the doubt on Westpac. And notice, look, the last time we looked at it was over here, full risk position, no reason to do anything but hold it. And then we had the carry trade unwind, which belted everything. And I reckon you've definitely out at least a third there, probably doing a second, third on that day and out there. And then you're starting to, I started to put this one back in probably on that day, but I put ANZ in a bit earlier. I think this is the level now. I want to see it bounce from there. I want to see it hold there. I want to see lowered shadows into that zone. If it can do that, I think we're okay. If it doesn't, then I think we're in trouble. But it's too early for me to tell. So Fred said, all I can really suggest is watch the candles from here. Okay, there's nothing in that. That's still FRP for me. It's not enough in that candle to do anything about it. But if I had CBA, all that's probably enough to push me out a third, I reckon, and just take some risk off the table, because that is a nasty, nasty looking candle. Notice how why is this such a bad candle? Let's talk about this. This is important. Where did it open? Think about where it opened. So, well, we know where it closed. It closed here, right? Closed up here. And the only way you can get this candle is if, let me think about it. Where did it, yeah, it opened here. It opened here. And then it tried to rally, right? So it tried to rally. That's the important bit. And then it just went, and it barely bounced. So that's a little bit disturbing. It's the try to rally bit that is the most disturbing bit there about that. It's the fact that it's not too bad. Oh yeah, we can go back up, and then no. Because every other day before that, any time it tried to go down, it was met with demand. This time it tried to go back up, it was met with supply. Let's do APE. We've done for Adrian. AND, I don't know if that's a request or he's saying like and, literally and. There's no AND, so we're going to go to PLY. Here's a hint, Adrian. Don't do any three-letter combinations in all caps that aren't actually ASX codes. Okay, so if you're going to do AND, I'm going to try and type it in, aren't I? So let's go to PLY, which I know is an ASX stock, and we're going to go zoom. Normal here. I like this actually, and there's two things I really like about it, and that of course is that candle there and that candle there. Actually, today's candle is really impressive as well. I think this is really interesting. We've got a decent base pattern here. Some volume events there. The short-term trend ribbon has turned. We're above the long-term uptrend ribbon, long-term trend ribbon. I think this is okay. Yeah, the question is, would I add risk to that today, given the level of uncertainty in the broader market? Yeah, look, I don't mind it. I'll leave it with you. If this is the best thing you can find, certainly FRP, certainly whatever you got, happy to hold. Open Q, what's that mean? Open Q. I don't know. Open Q. Don't know what that means. Got a message there. Let's go FRP and plus 1/3. I don't know. I have to think. The question is whether it needs a dink. Today is a dink. It's an intraday dink. Can you see that? It's come down, it's held. And that's the thing that's really attracting me to this, is this white candle and that confirmation. And I'm looking back up here now. So I'm looking up here. The next place my eye goes is all the way up here to see is there something really distinct. And it's all just pretty much ebb and flow. Like there isn't a point of supply through here that you could pull out and say, look, that's the key one. And that's more attractive because then we're kind of really looking up here. Possibly also, there is a bit of a level sort of working through there. Okay. All of these demand points, all of these demand points, all of these demand points, matching up with that supply point, matching up with that supply point. So if we were to, and is it fair to say if we have to take this long to figure something out? It's probably no. Can we make the reward to risk work on this one? Well, we know that, if we use that as our, and we're just using that as a starting point, okay? It could be up here. We won't know, right? But we should try and make one-to-one into there. So where's our exit going to be? Like certainly, beneath that candle, I'd be concerned. Certainly beneath the short-term uptrend ribbon, I'd be concerned. And then coming in beneath that, there's a bit of a peak there. I think we're going to struggle to make one-to-one on that, aren't we? Look, I'm going to get FRP. I'm going to refrain from doing the 1/3, and it is a bit of a personal thing. You're going to come to a slightly different conclusion to me, but at least we're all on the same page in terms of what we're going to consider to come to that conclusion. Is that fair to say? Let's go to PRN is the next one. PRN is the next one from Robert PRN. I'll ask you to stop putting in any new ones, please, because thanks for the review on PLY. That's how I was thinking. Good. Okay. Stop putting in any new ones. I don't want to go too late tonight because I'm already in trouble, if you know what I mean, for doing it 2 nights in a row. As in, I'm in big trouble. I should be on the couch right now giving somebody a foot rub. Let's go to PRN. It's going to be double foot rubs for the rest of the week, I tell you what. And let's go to PRN. I actually think this looks really good. Very happy with it. There is a little bit of an issue potentially over here. How big of an issue is it? And then one here. And this is the frustrating thing, isn't it, about these turnaround plays? We get a lot of these in Australia. But and then there's up here. Oh, it's all the way up. But this is so good. This is so good here. And even on today, you've got to think about how bad today was for everything else. And then this thing just logged a candle like that. I'm just so impressed by it. But I'm also, a little bit circumspect about that. And it's a conundrum, isn't it? And if we're going to fight this conundrum on every stock, then life's going to be hard. If you go through the process, obviously you're a little bit lucky because I shortlist everything for you. But going through that list, you're probably going to find things that are a bit easier. But I'm still glad you asked about it, Robert. I think it's such an interesting chart here. Certainly, I'm an FRP, and the only thing holding me back from the plus 1/3 at this point is those areas there. But it's so strong. It's so strong. I reckon I can swing it. I'm pretty sure I put it in the shortlist tonight for that exact reason. But don't forget that shortlist. Those shortlists, I don't do all of this process. And I'm pointing, you can't see where I'm pointing, of course, but I don't do all of this process for you in those shortlists. That's your job. I'm going to show you, let me delete this study. So it's important we understand how these shortlists work. I'm going to show you this. Do you get it? I'm going to show you that. That's my job. Your job is to do all this other crap. Okay, that's not my job. Okay, so yes, when I say look, everything on that list is plus 1/3, yes, it's plus 1/3 based upon that's the level of analysis I'm going to go to. Okay, let's go to Audinate, which I think I discussed at the start, and I said no interest. I don't know why we're talking about Audinate, Peter, unless we're talking about a short trade opportunity. I wouldn't short it on today's candle because of the white candle, but it's still not something I would even remotely consider buying. Like you would need to beat me around the head and drag my unconscious body to the trading screen and grab my hand and hit the buy button, okay, to make me buy that chart, really. Let's go to, and that doesn't mean it's not going up. It could be the best performing stock over the next 10 years for all I bloody know. But what I do know is it's not meeting any of my criteria, so why the hell would I buy it? Let's go to different. There's lots of Peters. Peter's the most common name in today's attendance list. And we've talked about SGF already, and it is a super interesting setup. I'm so glad somebody's brought this one up. What a beautiful stock, and we fought so hard on so many setups today to get to this one, which is, it's like a Perry trade, isn't it? Where we just go FRP plus 1/3, and it just looks amazing. Happy holder on this, no complaints. Now, could this be the absolute top forevermore for Spartan? Yes, it possibly could, but you might have also have argued that on this day here, or on this day here, or on this day here, or on this day here, and you would have been wrong on all of those days too. So that one is an easy one for me to do. I love it. Brett's asking about APX, which is interesting. Plenty of sketching on this one. The last time we looked at it, I think we said here FRP plus 1/3. How did that change? That we can't see what's coming next. How did it change on this day? I don't think that's enough to push us off the trade. I actually don't think that's enough to push us off the trade. And we got close to it today, but actually today was okay. But we're close. And you can see here we've got some other markings, and I'm just going to go ditto for those markings. I still think this is actually the most appropriate place for it. Okay, so that actually says close zero risk position there. I've done that at a different time. I think the technicals are a little bit different. But so let me just change that to certainly minus 1/3. Certainly minus 1/3 there. And whether we're going more than that, it would depend on how bad the candle is. A really bad candle, I'd go 2/3 and then sort of see, how it goes down here. But for now, just squeaking in with a full risk position, but just squeaking in. We want to see it hold that short-term uptrend ribbon and hold it well. 29 Metals is the next one, and we're going to have much more luck on that one for Brett, because this one actually I did shortlist today. I think it looks pretty good. Didn't make the shortlist. Didn't have quite enough oomph to do it, but it wasn't far off, to be fair. And look, happy holder there. Where could it be heading? I wonder. There's probably a little bit of not a little bit. There's probably a lot of a zone there, and maybe. How does it compare to this one? This was the last time it was looking good, not that long ago. So these are the things that when I'm glancing through, might just keep something out of a shortlist if they're easy to pick up. But happy holder FRP plus 1/3 on that one, plus 1/3. Getting good at typing that. Let's go to Haraju, who has WGN. WGN. How good's that? Where did you get in this one, Haraju? Give me a price. I didn't see this because I'm guessing it's, well, I'm not guessing. I think I can tell here just by looking at it. It hasn't met my liquidity filter. That's the reason why it's not appearing on my scans. Doesn't mean it's a bad stock, just means it's illiquid. Okay, so you guys can still trade them. You guys don't need a liquidity filter. You're just a person. Okay, you're not going to blow things to pieces by yourself. So by all means, trade them. If you find them, you know what to look for now. And I like that, 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 and I like that. So what can I say? FRP plus 1/3. Very happy with that one. Let's go to Haraju's next one, which is HRZ. A little bit in the same boat. I didn't see it today. And I'm guessing, again, liquidity filter. And I could check, but it would take a little bit of time to go into the formula and double check that. But, maybe here. There you go. Oh, God, I'm clever. Sometimes I surprise myself. After one of these sessions, a long time ago, I went in and I thought, why don't I put a little reader on here? And I've only just literally remembered as I said those words, I could go into the code and find out, but it would take too long. Minimum X, what is X? Is X over turnover. Minimum turnover filter is 0. Okay, that's why it didn't appear. If that's a 1, it's this binary, of course, short-term trend ribbon. I guess it's rising. Yeah, it is. Okay. Long-term trend ribbon, I don't know what these other ones are doing. But anyway, let's focus on this one. It's a 0. Let's go to the last one, which was WGN. And we can see it's also 0 there as well. Okay. I wonder what these are doing. That should be a 1 there, shouldn't it? A long-term trend ribbon, but that's a 0. Let me go to something like, say, 29 Metals, which did come up on my scan, and you can see the turnover filter there is 1. And it's saying here the long-term trend ribbon is -1, so it's still technically it's still down. I wonder maybe on those other ones it just hasn't been going up for a long enough space of time. And let's just go through this because some of you might be interested in looking at these from time to time when we do look at them. That's obviously coming in as a 1 there now as well. I can't remember. Sometimes I programmed these things a long time ago and they sit there before I ever use them again. But you can see that the turnover filter here is 1, so we do have the minimum turnover. HRZ, I haven't seen it because it hasn't met my liquidity filter, but Haraji, you know enough about my method to know that that is exactly what I'm looking for. Like, you cannot get any more like what I'm looking for than that. And you should all know that already because I bash you over the head every time we chat about the exact pictures that you need to just emblazon into your mind, okay, about turnaround setups. And you know already, I don't need to convince you about this. You have seen how effective this thing is. And I'm going to say, for somebody to turn the light on for you, right, it's just priceless, if I say so myself. Like, people go through their investing days and years and decades wondering when to buy shit after it's been down forever. And ladies and gentlemen, you've got like the magic freaking formula. Plus 1/3 FRP, plus 1/3 for me on that one, Haraji. Let's go to your third. Let's see if you got 3 out of 3 on these little and liquid ones. You certainly do. You can see turnover filter, there's a 0. And to draw you the picture, your eyes already should be tuned in. Like, that's the day there that you want to buy it. And if you did, you've just gone, 5 and a bit to 10, haven't you? And you and the other 30 people probably that bought it in the world are rushing because it wasn't meeting my liquidity filter. What do we do with it now? Well, 10 cents. What you need to do at 10. 10 is a round number for me. We'll take a little bit off the table there and hold the rest. Not adding any risk because of that proximity to 10, but certainly FRP on that one. Whatever you're doing, Haraji, keep doing it. You're looking in the right place. CU6 had a little bit of a bounce today. I think we should have been out a bit of risk on this one. Huzel, I think you probably also agree that should be the case. Certainly seeing we've got some scratchings here that literally told us exactly that. Like, it literally said minus 2/3 beneath that level. FRP here, minus 2/3. I wonder why I said minus 2/3 beneath that level. I don't know. Certainly when we see that, that would be 2/3, and maybe I pin that to that. I don't know. And then, no, here, this is the day. Oh, there you go. No, I've said 2/3 there, and I said a 1/3 risk position. So that was right. I don't know why. It was before that candle. And then I said a 1/3 risk position until it closes beneath the, that's what I usually write, 1/3 risk position until it closes beneath the short-term trend ribbon, which it did. So that's history. And then what would have actually happened is you would have gone ZRP here, Huzel, I think is what we should have done. If we haven't done that, then when's the right time to start following the model? It's always every candle. Every candle is the right time to start following the model. How do we follow the model from a picture like this? Well, we say, where's demand? There's demand down there. Okay, we've got this, and it's pretty simple. If we close beneath that demand's not there anymore, and that should frighten you. Okay, there's demand at that level. For whatever reason, who cares? If we close beneath it, demand is gone, and we should be frightened by that. Okay, I always say in trading, we are fearless with holding our profits, but with our losses, we run like a startled burglar. And I think if we were to see a candle like that, Huzel, we would be running like the startled burglar. Until then, you can hang on to it. Hopefully it does the right thing for you. There is some demand coming in here, but it's not that convincing for me. Let's go to, nope, done that. Would the recent candles warrant a 1/3 top up? No, the recent candles do not warrant a 1/3 top up. What would warrant a 1/3 top up? See this? I'm going to keep that there, but pretend it's not there for a second. And this is the only thing that would warrant a 1/3 top up. Something like that, closing above that long-term uptrend ribbon. I think this is probably more likely what you're going to see, though, based on what I can see. I hope not. Different, Peter. The second species ending event for SGF was the dividend. Okay, well, Peter, these are always important. So when was it? Was it in here? I don't know. Was it that one? I don't know. But yes, forgive me. Dividends are not demand supply events, they're capital returns. So you do need to adjust the dividend up. Of course, I can't see them here, so I don't know. But if you're right, if there's a dividend in there, then that chart is not as bad as it looks. I totally agree with you on that one. Let's go to Pro Medicus, Sue. Very important. I think we look at this tonight. It's a little bit like that CBA one, isn't it? It's like a few that we've seen that have had the most amazing trends, but we're seeing a little bit of a dent today. So you could not possibly convince me that that is enough in this trend, to do anything about it. Now, is this an exit third for the 200 proximity? Ladies and gentlemen, we got to 196.28. What do you reckon? Do you reckon you should have sold a third of your stock there at $200? I reckon you should have. I reckon that's close enough for me. So I'm going to say that that's a minus 1/3 up here for the $200 round number. If you missed it right now, you go, oh man, how did I miss that? I could have nailed this thing. I know I would have put my sell order at 194.99. Ah. So we've missed that, and today it's not enough. I mean, I know it scares the pants off you, but my model says it's not enough in and of itself to do anything about it just yet, because the pedigree of the trend is just so darn amazing. It's just as likely to throw in a nice big white candle tomorrow. What would change that thesis? Look, another big black candle would be disturbing. Any sort of lower peak on any candle that looks like this would be disturbing again, and that's going to start to then change our minds and drag us out of more risk here. But I think at most you're kind of 2/3 on PME anyway because of the big round number. If you don't believe me about big round numbers, right, it just keeps happening, and that's why I personally do heed them. We've done that one there on PLA. We've got a couple of US ones which we're going to turn to pretty much now. And in fact, that's it. Haraju's saying, I'm so grateful that I met you, Carl. You've made such a difference in my trading. Haraju, thank you for telling me that, because that is exactly why we're here for a second night in a row. And I'm going to owe big foot rubs for the rest of the week. Let's go to US stocks now. And we're going to do the Adonis had SOUN. Adonis in his email said, hey, Carl, I asked you about it twice last night and you didn't do it either time. Adonis, it's not on purpose. I'm not ignoring you, mate. I just didn't see it, so I apologise, but I'm making a special point of doing it tonight. SoundHound. I agree. Without this candle here, because you didn't have that candle when you asked me about it yesterday, it actually started to look really interesting. It's probably still a bit sideways for me. We're not just seeing enough of that, upside volatility just yet in the candles to warrant getting too excited about it. I think it's something that you're going to keep an eye on. I don't think it's something we're going to jump into just yet. And I'm just looking at this point of supply here. Maybe if we start to probe into that with a nice big white candle, that's when I think you can have a look at it. Because, yes, otherwise we do have a really good base pattern, short-term trend and the long-term trends all holding very well there. But I just think it's a little bit early days on this. We're just waiting for, what sort of candle are we waiting for? This is the candle that we're waiting for here. Something like that. Well, actually, that one's even better, isn't it? Something like that occurring around here. And then we're going to get very excited about this one. But I think we're just on hold until then, Adonis. Let's go to Craig, who's got NVDA. I haven't looked at this one for a while. I'm really fascinated to see. Wow, I did not expect to see that at all. Okay, well, that explains the Nasdaq chart, ladies and gentlemen. That explains the Nasdaq chart and explains the Russell 2000 chart, because the Russell 2000 doesn't have NVIDIA in it. Holy moly. It also makes me feel a little bit better about this bull market, because if that looks like that, it's probably going to drag everything up, kicking and screaming. Like, what's more powerful than everything else bad that might happen in the world, or NVIDIA doing that? I think probably NVIDIA doing that. That's amazing. So FRP plus 1/3 on NVIDIA. You cannot keep this thing down. That is just amazing. Thank you for bringing it to my attention there, Craig. Peter, I think, asking for Uber. Let's have a look at this one. Also looking very, very good. A little bit of a pullback there into what should really be a very solid demand zone. And I think next high close on this, but a decent white candle to boot. It's all about balance, isn't it? So something that balances out this and at least a third of the way up as a bare minimum. A nice white candle that retraces at least a third of this move, but preferably a half, and then I could start to get interested in it as a new long. If you've got it, I still think you can hold it. Maybe you got in on this candle here, and I can see why you would. Gap and run. I'm not sure what this is all about. Sometimes, it takes a little while for these things to get going. But I can say when you do see a gap and a run like that, you look at it in a few months' time, there's a very, very good chance that it's going to be higher than the day it reported, whatever it reported there. I'm guessing that was an earnings report. So happy holder there in the meantime. Let's go to, that's it. That's all the offline requests for the USA. Nicola agreeing, I think maybe with Haraju, and the Hoozle's agreeing as well. I appreciate that, folks. Let's go to, Nicola's got IONQ. And look, very good. I like that as well. I wish I could jump in a time machine and go back in time, but we can't do that. But I'd be remiss if I didn't say my job is to tune your eye in. And how many times have we seen that candle? How many times have we seen that candle on a turnaround play tonight on different stocks that have no relationship, bear no relation to each other? It is just a pattern. It is a pattern that repeats over and over again. Something's up here with the volume that makes it even more attractive, and then we have, this is the next 1/3, and even the candle after that is a third. This candle here reaching into 15 and into this point of supply means I'm not adding risk on this candle. So I'm a big yes here, I'm a big yes here, and I'm a big just wait and see here. Certainly if I've got skin in the game, I'm FRP on this one, but I don't think I'm going to add risk just on the basis of let me see how it responds to this area. In fact, it's an area that starts there and goes up to here. So let me just see a dink. Let me see a little dink, how it responds. What is the point of the dink? Can we all jog our memories? The point of the dink is to see how the demand side responds to supply we expect to see in that zone, or if supply responds at all. Maybe supply doesn't respond, and that's even better. But we just want to let that play out a little bit. Let's go up to Matthew has Sneaky USA. Not sure what that means. RKLB, sneaky. Let's see how sneaky they are. Rocket Lab. Nothing sneaky about that. That's just amazing. So that is the perfect setup right there. I can't fault it. And I look at a setup like that, I just wonder why we got hit so hard today when there are these sorts of setups in the world where people are still so comfortable in taking risk. Nothing there to worry about until we get into the 16s. So I'm very happy to go FRP and plus 1/3 on that one. Plus 1/3, and we're going to click save and escape that and maybe just put that there so we know where it was. And then we're going to go to your second one, Matt, which is CRDO. Credo Technology, beautiful again. Let me just have a quick look out here. No, it's all blue sky, which makes it even more attractive. And again, I can't tell the future. I don't know what the candle's going to be tonight, but all I can say is it's a picture of demand. There are people out there very smart, much smarter than us, let's face it, because they're doing fundamental analysis, the poor bastards, doing all that, crunching all the numbers. They've got a giant spreadsheet that they're just so proud of. Can you imagine the formulas and all the links and all the cells? They're like, this spreadsheet is their nerdy life. And they're doing all that hard work, and they are deciding that this is a great stock to own, and they're telling their clients to buy it. They're buying it in their own funds. And at the same time as they're buying, their clients are buying, guess what they aren't doing? They're not selling it. So there's very little supply. There's lots of demand. And the people who aren't in that fund manager, they've done that work as well. And if they own it, they're not selling it too. And we just get to just waltz in, don't we? And just go FRP plus 1/3 because we're lazy. We're lazy. And I like that about our methodology. Let's keep going now up to the next US stock, which is, I'm sure, not very far away as I scroll up the screen. BGD. I didn't do BGD for you, Peter. And in the interests of, it's probably going to frustrate a few people, but BGD, I haven't heard it, so I'm curious. BGD. Okay, Spartan Gold Holdings. Looks okay. I like today's candle. I could go with it. On that volume, on that candle, yes, for me, FRP. If you've got it, plus 1/3 if you don't. This is a bit sneaky and a bit cheeky because it hasn't really dinked it's still quite early days, but I can't resist that candle. It's too big, and the volume as well. I'm an FRP, and I'm curious as to why I didn't see that, because we can see here minimum turnover filter is 1, so actually maybe, I don't remember seeing it, so I'm not saying it's in my scan list, but I don't remember seeing it. Let's go back to here. As I go up the list, I did catch that one. CDNA, CareDX. I've got some problems here. Well, look at this. There you go. This is an example of how I cannot see the future. FRP on this day, and you can't do anything but FRP plus 1/3 on that day, can you really? And since then, it hasn't done a lot. I think this is the day, though, that you're out. Is that fair to say? Which kind of makes a bit of a moot point. Different Peter, I promise. Different Peter. It's kind of a moot point here. It should be for you. And if you didn't get out after that day, then you've got problems. What do you do here? Like, it just that's the worst feeling. And I know the feeling's like, oh shit, I should have done it. And what do I do now? Like, I'm losing. I don't want to lose anymore, but I don't want to get out here because I don't want to take this loss. I think you just have to. You have to say, well, when do I start doing the right thing by the model? If I'm following the model, hey, if you're not following the model, Pete, you can do whatever you want, right? Nobody's going to tap you on the shoulder. Go, hey, Pete, you're not following Carl's model, right? So, you get where I'm going? Like, you can not follow the model for another day. You can not follow it for another week, or you could follow it tonight. And what does the model say about this? It says ZRP. So I think that's your answer, isn't it? Now, this is the other reason why you don't want to get out, Pete, is because you know that as soon as you do, you know that if you get out tonight, like, it's binary. It's like if, then, else. If Pete gets out tonight, then that's what's going to happen, right? Literally the day after. We need to stop thinking like that, because it's probably not going to happen. Probably. Let's keep going to... Oh, that's it. I'm done. I'm good for the second night in a row. Let's head over to here and go to the disclaimer. Remind everybody, as I said there, hey, it's just a model. You can follow it or you can not follow it. It's your choice. Either way, don't blame me. And all that other stuff about seeking help about the appropriateness of this information for your own personal financial situation. Apart from that, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure chatting with you again this evening. As the sign says, keep calm and follow the trend until we catch up again. Bye-bye for now.